Okay, well, with the scene well and truly set, let's move on to our panel discussion on this theme of catalysing economic growth through innovation. I just have to say, this is a theme that every conference I do these days, this idea of innovation and the role of, in particular, of digital innovation is prominent. And no less so here, but I do think at the stage of development that Kosovo finds itself in, it's a particularly pertinent and interesting question. So I'm really looking forward to this panel. I think we've got the right people here to help us understand the implications here. We have, first of all, I'd like to welcome Luan Dalipi, who's the Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister of Kosovo. Luan, you're very welcome. Please come and join us. And then we have Faton Peci, who is the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Rural Development in Kosovo. Rosetta Hadari, who is the Minister of Industry, Entrepreneurship and Trade. And I have to admit, I took a wild guess at the pronunciation of your name there. Demosthenes, hang on, let me get this one. Demosthenes Anagnostopoulos, who is the Secretary General for Information Systems, Digital Governance, the Ministry of Digital Governance in Greece. Please come and join us. And Bernhard Ruger, who's a specialist, an expert in agriculture and hypochlorite solutions. And if you don't know what hypochlorite is, I expect you will before too long. Come and join us too. Yeah, if you leave that seat open, sorry, Demosthenes Anagnostopoulos is joining us via a connection from Greece, so he'll be on screen. Okay, let's jump straight across to Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister of Kosovo, Luan Dalipi. Your thoughts, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. It's a pleasure to be here. For those that don't know me, I come from the private sector in a position of the Chief of Staff. As you may know, a lot of firefighting comes with the position, but what's dear to my heart is private sector development, and I've been 15 plus years in that sector. I like to usually think about all new initiatives and opportunities, test the ideas through some business modeling that we're used to from business school and the private sector as well. And since we have a lot of people from the private sector here, I would like to use a little bit of a comparison as I speak on what my thoughts are about sustainable development. Basically, for any business, there has to be a business opportunity, there has to be opportunity to follow. And in terms of Kosovo and in the whole region, I think if you look at the bird's eye view type, if we have a bird's eye view on geopolitics, we can find out that a few years back, not so long, we had the COVID pandemic, a lot of supply chain disruptions, increase of transportation costs from far Asia. That was one. Then we had the energy crisis caused by the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Now also with the war in Ukraine, we have a lot of multinational corporations who were serving the Europe, Middle East, North African, the MENA region, where Kosovo sits conveniently in the center of this MENA region. Many MNCs were looking to relocate, but of course relocation is not enough nowadays. MNCs look for friendly shoring as well. They look to set up base where countries are friendly and aligned with Western democracy's values. In terms of the geopolitical bird's eye view, if you will, on top of the Western Balkans region, things are looking pretty good. There's opportunity. And we also have a huge deficit in the billions, something that the Western Balkans countries, even if they produced at full scale, they would still not be able to fulfill the demands and the growing needs of the Western Europe. Of course, then we have also a growing older population in Western Europe. No offense, Mr. Ross. And we, Kosovo, are known to have the largest youth, tech-savvy. English is practically an official language in our country. So things are looking good from the bird's eye perspective. There is opportunity. Next step is vision, aspirations. As a country, we aspire to be the best in Western Balkans in all sectors. And I think same in business. If you don't aspire to be the best, you cannot plan to become the best. And you don't plan to be the best, you cannot implement or do things that actually make you the best eventually. So for us, as a relatively young country, we, I think, in the last 3 years have shown some remarkable progress in some of the essential conditions that are considered as business enabling environment factors. And Prime Minister mentioned a few of them early this morning, from strengthening democracy to rule of law, fighting crime, corruption, as well as overall liberties in all aspects of life. And this we don't say as a government, it would be a bit subjective, but it's what the international indexes are saying. We are #1 in terms of progress in these areas in the Western Balkans region. And it's a good omen to attracting new FDI and increase in exports, because any business, foreign, national, or whatever, there needs to be the element of trust, that there is predictability in policies, in implementation mechanisms, in the people they need to deal with, civil servants, who process various licenses and permits for whatever sector in which they're interested to invest in. So all of these little bits and pieces make up the full story, and I think Kosovo is on a very right path to really becoming very competitive as a country. Also, in addition, we have a very healthy and strong, well-integrated diaspora. What used to be a bad situation in the 80s and 90s has turned out to be a blessing nowadays, with all of our diaspora being very well integrated into the corporations and other decision-making mechanisms throughout Europe, US, and mostly Europe and US. Besides having the opportunity and doing some things right, like the democracy and rule of law, then we really have to dive into business, and we have to show how we're doing as Kosovo in terms of real concrete factors that determine the decision of a prospective investor. And I think in this area also, we ranked #1 in terms of lowest tax burden. Our corporate tax is only 10%. We have 0 tax on dividends and up to only 10% progressive tax on personal income taxes. So overall, the GDP growth average for the last 8 years has been the fastest and biggest in this Western Balkans region. As also Prime Minister mentioned, 6.2 average over the last 3 years. And we also have some of the public infrastructural needs that the other countries in the region perhaps have surpassed even over a decade ago. We have 7 billion euros in new investment needs. In transport, about 3 billion, roads, railways, tunnels. In environment, water supply, water dams, wastewater, waste management. You cannot make small mistakes in water dams. Therefore, we would really appreciate the interest of successful, credible Western European and other Western democracies overall companies who are specialized in these types of large infrastructural projects. And together with IFIs, EBRD, IFC, KfW, and others, we plan to, of course, co-fund and co-implement those. And then we also have the energy, which was also mentioned. Besides the refurbishment of the old coal power plants, we have about 1.2 gigawatts of renewables we need to invest by 2030. So overall, public infrastructural-wise, Kosovo is very interesting country right now. Then we dive into private sectors, and there are three major groups of, if you will, sectors for private business. First and foremost, IT-enabled services, from software development to digital accounting, digital marketing, again, relating back to the largest youth, professional, tech-savvy. We already are showing quite big dynamic development of this sector in Kosovo. Next would be manufacturing, especially wood, furniture, metal processing. And third but not least important is agriculture, food and beverage processing. So there, as I said, there are billions of euros of trade deficit that we can fulfill in just Western Europe market. But of course, innovation being the theme of this discussion is a rather big word, and I think for our context, innovating means also a production company implementing an enterprise resource planning tool, which would enable more efficient, fast, and more productive decision-making of what types of supplies to, what types of inputs, where to get the supplies, and where to export faster and better. So overall increased productivity. I think we need innovation in our in public institutions as well, because again, we have to treat the private prospective investors that come in with a lot of diligence and ensure that their time is being taken care of and is respected. And here we talk about concrete processes and steps that civil servants need to take to make sure that prospective investors don't wait too long in the queue, because they have other countries in the region who are highly competitive as well. I will stop here, and then we can perhaps further discuss in the Q&A. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.